In today's video, we're going to be installing the UPR catch can on the 2017-2018 Ford Raptor. So the first step is to remove the scoop here. So you just have to remove these two clips and then that bolt right there. Now as for these clips, they just come up by sticking a little screwdriver under there, flathead, or another tool, popping this first piece up there, get that all the way up, and then you can just pop out the piece underneath. And then just repeat that for both. Now the scoop will just come out pretty simply, just like that. The next step is to remove the engine cover. You're going to need a 10mm socket to remove these two bolts. From here, you're going to take your UPR catch can, and depending, it may or may not come already pre-bracketed, but if not, take the L bracket, which is right here, and you're just going to bolt that in with a provided bolt into the frame right here. You're going to notice that there's an oval shaped hole right here, right under where the air scoop was. So right underneath in the part of the frame, there's going to be an oval shaped hole right there. Now the UPR catch can likely will come in a configuration as such. You'll have to mount the tubes, of course. I'm going to show you how to do that, which ones go where later. You want the bottom to be as straight as possible down, so it's just easiest when you have to drain the oil. The next step is going to be removing this pipe here connected from here and here. So from the brown fitting and just the black one fitting here. Just pop it off. All you need to do is just release the little clip on both sides and it'll pop right off. The next step is to plug in the dirty line to the very top of the catch can, and the tube with the two 90-degree brackets is going to be the dirty line. So plug it into the top of the catch can here, and then plug it into the brown fitting here in the engine. The clean line will have a 45-degree fitting, and then also a no-degree fitting, just completely straight, as you can see right there. Now this one is going to plug into this part of the engine here, as you can see, and then it's also going to plug into the side facing the radiator of your catch can. Now the wide open throttle line is going to be the more challenging one to do. So it plugs into this side of the catch can here. However, you actually have to drill into your intake pipe. Now the 2017 Raptors, you have a cooling chamber right here. 2018s don't have that, but the install is just the same. So what you're going to want to do is just mark off the spot about 1 inch from here down, or like an inch before the big curve, and also just below the line here as your spots. So once you mark that with the Sharpie, we're going to be removing this pipe from the vehicle. The first thing to do is to remove this one bracket here. If you don't have an aftermarket intake, it's still going to be the same clamp there, just connected to something else. There are two more things you're going to need to do in order to remove this intake pipe, and one is removing the rubber grommet here. So the one just down here, right there, is easily removed with just a grommet tool, or just taking a flathead and just prying it a bit. Keep in mind, if you use a flathead, it's gonna take quite a bit more work, but it slides in much easier than it comes out. Ideally, you're gonna want a tool such as this in order to remove the grommet. The next thing you're gonna need to do is to lift the front passenger side of the vehicle, just to make it easier to access the turbo. Now, you don't have to, but I highly suggest it just because it takes a minute and it makes the job a lot easier. Okay, once the vehicle is significantly raised, you'll actually be able to see that bolt right there, or that nut that you have to just loosen, and that is the last piece holding that intake pipe in place. It slides right off the turbo and actually slides right back in really easily. So I just recommend ordering this 51/64 bit from Amazon beforehand though, just a couple days before you do the install, so you have it. You can always just return it right after you install it. There's no reason to keep it unless you want to do more of these installs. But I can basically guarantee you're never going to need that size bit ever again. So once you have it out, just drill into the location you marked earlier and just make sure it's a clean hole. The reason you have to remove this pipe is just because you do not want to risk having any plastic shavings left in the pipe, because then you're going to get plastic in your turbos, into your engine, and that's not exactly a good thing. So once you drill out, make sure you just clean the inside with your finger or a file or something. Shake the tube out, and then insert the rubber grommet, and then you're good to put this pipe back in place. How we recommend putting this intake pipe back in is in the following order. Just slide it into its general position. Mount this side here, the side connected to your intake. Then you're just going to want to check underneath the side of the car. Check by the turbo, see if it's just around in place. If it's not, all you have to do is just move it a little with your hand. It should be easy enough to do. And from there, slide it in as much as you can into the turbo, and then just slide it into the rubber grommet there. That'll go in just like butter. And then once it's in the grommet, it's going to be basically completely into the fitting on the turbo. And once it is, you can just double check with your hand, see if you can slide it any more, but as long as you don't see any shiny metal, it's completely in. Then all you have to do is tighten the clamp on the turbo, and you're basically done. Now all you have to do is install the watt line, wide open throttle line. I recommend running all 3 hoses just through here, and then it just plugs in right into the fitting in the rubber grommet. So after you do that, there's nothing else to do other than put everything back together. However, before you put everything back together, I suggest starting the truck and just feeling for any leaks and double checking every fitting to make sure that it's all the way clipped in. And once the engine starts, no check engine light, turn it off, turn it back on once more just to make sure, give it a rev or two, and you're good to go. Alright, thanks guys for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you're interested in our content. We have lots of new content coming, one of them including the kicker subwoofer upgrade, and then a couple others in the meantime, including the AFE Scorcher Pro tuner module.